Hey friends, welcome back to my channel for another video. I am excited to be sharing today's video with you. That is brought to you in partnership with The Good and the Beautiful because I cannot even believe that we are here. It is the end of another homeschooling year and here I am making curriculum review videos. It's like, I can't even believe it. You guys asked me to share my curriculum choices for our upcoming homeschool year before I shared end of the year reviews on the curriculum we've been using for the current homeschooling year. So I'm explaining that in case this doesn't make sense. So this is the curriculum that we have been using for 2020, 2021, and I already have up my videos for next homeschooling year, which will be 21, 22 on my channel. So today we are going to be talking about strictly the Good and the Beautiful curriculum that we used in our homeschool this year. What did I think of each piece that we used? Did I like it? Would I recommend it? All of that good stuff. So if you enjoy curriculum reviews, I am going to touch on quite a bit here. If you're new to my channel, I have 4 kids. They are in grades currently 8, 7, 5, and 3, and so we have been using the Good and the Beautiful for many years in our homeschool, but because of the ages of my kids, we span across many levels of this curriculum. So we are going to get started. I am going to run you through everything we used from the Good and the Beautiful in our homeschool this school year, let you know what I thought about it, and if I'd recommend it. So let's start with science units. I could not bring up every piece of curriculum we used to give you guys a visual look at each piece, but we started off our school year with the science unit mammals, and that was probably in the top 5 favorites we've ever done. I think all children love animals and all children love learning about animals, and there were so many fun documentaries to watch. We got to go to a zoo in Utah to see some animals, and like my kids just really loved that unit. I felt it was one of the best mammals, like animal type science units that I've ever seen done, and my kids just enjoyed it so much. So we would give mammals a huge thumbs up. It was the start of our homeschool year and there was a lot of excitement around it. My kids did additional projects like making animal habitats, and we just had a ton of fun with that unit. So we definitely loved mammals. Once we finished mammals, we moved on into space, and I have to tell you, I've had space on my shelf for a while, and there just always would be another one that would come out before space did, and so I would just kind of always move space, you know, farther back on the list. But I have to tell you, that one also ranks in the top 5 favorites. Space was so fun. I think space is a great unit if you've got kids that span over a lot of grades, because there is so much in-depth knowledge to be learned about space, and there's also like the surface level amount, you know, of like the names of the planets and what even is a star, you know, like basic information. And so it really appeals to older kids as well as younger kids. So if you're a mom in that situation, I highly recommend space. We loved it. We took our time with that unit because there was so much stuff that we really wanted to unpack and learn, and there were a lot of really fun, easy hands-on projects that were incorporated into that science unit, and so we had a ton of fun with that. We really loved the documentaries that were recommended to go with that unit, and my kids, they just loved it. So we really love space. Because we took our time with that unit, we actually only completed 3 science units this year instead of the typical 4. I generally do 1 science unit per quarter, but we only did 3 this year. Totally fine. We took our time with space and with mammals. And so the last unit we did, I still have in my binder here, and this is ecosystems. Now, ecosystems is a newer unit, and so The layouts of the pages are different, and it's just really, really beautiful. We had the book pack that went along with it, and I would highly recommend that. I personally think ecosystems and mammals pair really well together. Also kingdoms and classifications. So if you wanted to do a school year just learning about like how kingdoms and classifications work, then I would move on into ecosystems, and then I would move on into mammals. I think that that would be almost a perfectly streamlined process to show just how one thing goes into the next. So we didn't have the ecosystems unit when we finished mammals, otherwise I would have gone straight into this, and we had already done kingdoms and classifications a few years ago, but I think that that would be perfect. But we loved this unit. This unit was so much fun, and it was a perfect unit to do still with kind of field trip opportunities being limited, because going out and visualizing an ecosystem is very easy. You just go out into nature and you find a certain space. So we went to the wetlands in our area, we went to a lake in our area, and we just were able to observe, you know, things that we were learning about in real life, and that was really fun as well. So as you can see, all of the science units we did this year were a big hit. They definitely all rank in my top 5, top 6, 7 favorites for sure. They just keep getting better. But I have to tell you, we really loved all of the science units we did. And so I'm just thankful that we had another awesome year of learning all about science from the good and the beautiful. So moving from science into typing, I have typing 1, typing 2, and typing 3, and I only grabbed typing 1 just for a visual aid to show you guys. So at the beginning of this school year, I had my oldest son in 7th grade finishing typing 3, and then my youngest daughter in 3rd grade just starting typing 1, and then my third son on typing 2. So we share these, so basically like one kid uses it, finishes it, and it goes to the next. That's how we've done it, and so that's why they're all staggered like that. But so like next year, Olivia, my youngest, will be using typing 3, because the boys will be done with it by then. So anyway, we've been using the typing programs from The Good and the Beautiful for a very long time. I've had them quite a few years now, and I just love them. I love how they teach them how to correctly type, from even like how to sit correctly in the chair, using both hands, where the home keys are. And I love that the lessons are super short and most of the time can be done independently with verification of me at the end, like seeing what they did and ensuring that it's right. I also love that it doesn't take a ton of time in your school day. So this is something that I really recommend and love, the typing programs, to just pop into your homeschool for just that added benefit of learning how to type and more familiarization on the keyboard, and all of that. So highly recommend. We love the typing programs for that reason. I like that it's like a physical book versus just like an online program, just a personal preference there. So moving on next to handwriting. This year we did, so handwriting is something that I have my kids do until they get into middle school, unless their handwriting is really needing improvement. So this year I only had 2 kids using handwriting courses, and these were the handwriting courses that we used. We used handwriting 3, 4, and 5, and so here they are. This was also the first year that we were able to use the newer versions of handwriting, and we really enjoyed all of these handwriting levels. I have to tell you guys that when I first started using The Good and the Beautiful, the first 2 things I used were handwriting and a science unit. And so if you're interested in trying out the curriculum, I highly, highly, highly recommend the handwriting and the science units for kind of an introductory peek at the curriculum, because again, these are so simple, so sweet. They have cursive in them, and the newer levels actually have a really helpful tool that is like a coloring coded program with like the rainbow, and that really helps them remember formation of where the letter starts. And I always really love the little drawing section at the bottom, and here it was like continuing ants, and so we just really love it. Also love that this is totally independent and something my kids can work on themselves while I'm helping another one, very important to a mom who is homeschooling multiple kids. So highly recommend all of the handwriting, loved it, love, love, love. Next up, I have Math 3 from The Good and the Beautiful. Now, you guys know that they're getting ready to release a new version of math called Simply Good and Beautiful Math, and so this review may or may not be irrelevant to you because they are coming out with a new math curriculum. Now, I did a whole video on why they're making a new math curriculum, but the reason why I still wanted to include this review in this video is because I have been using the same math programs in my homeschool since I started homeschooling 7 years ago. And so at the beginning of the year, The Good and the Beautiful had released this math, and finally there was a level that correlated with one of my kids' ages, but I was so reluctant to try a new math because I'm a firm believer if it's not broke, don't fix it, and that is probably not correct grammar, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, why would I change it if what I'm using is working? Well, sometimes you just want to try something new, and that's okay too. So I wanted to give this math program a shot, and I have to tell you guys, we really did enjoy it. I do see how it could be improved upon in certain ways. For example, like less manipulatives. There's definitely a lot to keep track of. I can see how the lessons could be more concisely laid out onto one page so that you're not having to, you know, read something and then turn the page to demonstrate it. So I feel like it could be condensed, but I do have to tell you that we did really enjoy this math course, and a lot of what is wonderful about this math course is being taken into the new one. So they're not just completely like, okay, the whole course description, just get rid of that. Like, they're still taking the general things and just improving upon it. And so I wanted to include that because I have to tell you, I was hesitant to try a new math, and I was a little like, I don't know about it at first, but we just kept going, and we really enjoyed it. So if you're on the fence about trying math from The Good and the Beautiful, just give it a shot and see if it works. Sometimes just having a fresh new way of viewing similar information can be really engaging to your child and to you, and it can be like a great point of connection in your homeschool. That is one thing that I really loved about The Good and the Beautiful Math, was that it required me to like not just explain a concept and then hand it over, but we were working together. I was reading, we were doing games, like it was just very engaging. And I know that Olivia, my youngest daughter, can never have enough time with me, and so I know she really loved math, and she actually said it's her favorite subject for that reason, probably, is just the fact that it was something that we were doing together and there was always something fun to come up with. So we really enjoyed it. Even though they are releasing a new one, I just want to encourage you guys with this video, even if you've been using the same math program and it's working okay, if you want to give something new a shot just for a fresh look at math, you know, I would just encourage you to give it a try. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't like it, and thankfully The Good and the Beautiful's math course, especially Simply Good and the Beautiful Math that is coming out, is going to be so affordable. It's not going to be you know, it's free or so affordable depending on what level you're going to use, but it's not going to be something that you're going to spend hundreds of dollars on and then decide you don't like. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Next up, we have History, Year 3. So this is the course book here. This is History Year 3. We've used The Good and the Beautiful for history for the last 2 years. We did year 1, we did year 2, and now we finished up year 3. I get asked about history a lot, and I have to tell you guys that I love the Good and the Beautiful history, and I love it because it is not one whole year of study on one specific time period. That can begin to feel redundant, especially if you are studying a more difficult time period. It can be a little, you know, heavy, and just kind of revisiting like the same stories of, you know, just over and over again. I've done it both ways, and I really prefer the 4 different unit approach. So in this year 3 course, the first one was on ancient Mesopotamia and ancient Israel, and then we went on into unit 2, which was on, let's see, ancient Africa and native North Americans, and we loved that. And then year 3 was westward expansion and industrialization, and then unit 4 was on World War II. So my kids love history, especially my son Landon, and so history is just a highlight of our homeschool. I also love that we get to do this only 2 to 3 times a week, and it's not an overwhelming time for them or for myself. And I love that the Good and the Beautiful history can be used from whatever grade you want to start it in all the way up through high school. So my kids' favorite units out of this were probably the westward expansion and industrialization, and then World War II. Those were the units that they really enjoyed the most. But I love the history from the Good and the Beautiful, and we've used it, like I said, 2 years previously, and I would highly recommend year 3 as well. And also I want to mention, I get asked a lot, so if, like, let's say the year that you want, year 1 is out of stock or something, could you start on another year? And the answer is definitely you could. There's only a few points in the course where it refers back to something you may have previously learned, and it says it right there. So if you hadn't done year 2 or year 1, you could still just jump right in with year 3, and it would go fine, in my humble opinion. So we love history. Next up, I have language arts, and so this year I had language arts 5, 7, and 3. And again, I didn't want to bring up all the books, but to give you a little visual aid, here is level 5, the personal reader, and the course book. Language arts is probably, if I had to choose, my most favorite subject from the Good and the Beautiful as a homeschooling mom. That was one area in my homeschool that I was so dissatisfied with for a few years, and it was so hard having so many different books to try to make sure we were covering all the things, and like the layouts, it was confusing, it was difficult. There were DVD courses we tried, like we just couldn't find anything. So the language arts from the Good and the Beautiful is my absolute favorite subject that I use from them. It's the one that I feel has made the biggest difference in my kids' education. If I had to pick one, would be the language arts. I've seen it work, like I said, because I have kids spanning over so many grades, from taking them from writing 3-word sentences to writing persuasive essays, to analyzing poetry, to sentence diagramming very complex sentences, to having super broad knowledge of map and countries, like without even using a specific geography course. And so the Good and the Beautiful language arts is my absolute favorite thing. It's the thing I feel like has impacted my kids' education the most out of all of the stuff I've shown you. I love all of that too, but if I had to say, if you said, Ashlee, if I'm only going to use one thing from the Good and the Beautiful, what should it be? I would tell you language arts, because there is nothing else remotely close to it. There just isn't. It is so wonderfully done. I adore every single portion of it. So we had level 3, level 5, and level 7. And then my oldest daughter, there is no level 8 language arts. And the reason why there isn't is because the levels of language arts with the Good and the Beautiful do not correlate with grades. Sometimes it works out that way, but that's not the way that it's intended. So because there's no level 8 course, they have book studies that your kids can do for that period if you don't want them to just go on to high school language arts or English, which was the case for me. I didn't want to put her into the high school courses yet. I wanted my oldest to do the book studies. So she did do 2 of the book studies from The Good and the Beautiful. She did the Abraham Lincoln one, and she did the A Touch of Magic and the Helen Keller one, and she really loved them. I get asked a lot if I think it's enough for like an entire language arts course, and I have to be honest with you in my humble opinion and say no, I don't. I think if your child is very strong in writing and has like a solid memory when it comes to grammar and spelling and things like that, then it could suffice. But for my kids, they just have to continue to use the skills. Otherwise, we kind of backtrack a little bit, and that could just be my children. So this is my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. But I don't feel like those were enough. I feel like they're wonderful and worthwhile doing for sure, but I don't know that it constitutes a full course level of, you know, writing or grammar or reading. You know, I think it could be for reading. I think I still would recommend, again, just my opinion, that most kids will need to do something to continue to utilize their writing skills and spelling. Unless you've got a child that just really excels there, then they could probably be fine. But so I had her do those in addition to another course, and in hindsight that really didn't work out very well. So, you know, you would have to be careful about which one you choose, because a lot of the courses for that portion of school are going to be like a full workload on their own. And so that was kind of the problem we were running into, was that it was like too much together but not enough on its own. So I don't know. I don't really have an answer for you guys. We love the book studies, but I wouldn't say, in my opinion, that that was enough to qualify for like writing and language arts. But these language arts books are amazing. My absolute favorite. Loved it. Hands down, my #1 favorite thing from The Good and the Beautiful that we use in our homeschool, if I had to choose, would be the language arts. So that is going to be it for this end of the year review on all of the courses we use strictly from The Good and the Beautiful. Of course, we used some little extra pieces and components like our nature notebooks, the creative writing notebooks, and the arts and crafts notebook that we have, and we love all of those things. Those weren't things that we did in our homeschool every single day, so I didn't, you know, keep them for this video. I wanted to focus on like the meat and bones of our homeschool, but we did really enjoy all of those things as well. So I wanted to share this information with you guys. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions for me regarding anything I mentioned here, post it down below and I would be happy to answer you guys. But I hope you enjoyed hearing from me on all things The Good and the Beautiful. And like I said in the video, we are just so thankful for them. So if you want to check them out, I'll have the link to the website down below. But I would love it if you gave me a thumbs up on today's video and let me know if you found it helpful, and I will see you all in my next one really soon. Bye guys.